Welcome back to Rebel Reels. Again, I'm on my own. I'm with Jack a lot at the moment. But anyway, today we're going to talk about SEO and the fundamental aspects of SEO that you really need to get your website flying and start getting traffic through the door. So stay tuned because this is going to be a good one. So when we're talking about SEO, most people completely fall asleep. For good reason, I think. It's either because they don't understand it, they think it's too complicated, or it just sounds pretty boring, right? Search engine optimization. I mean, what does that even mean for most people? But actually, if you're going to rank at all on Google, you're going to get your website found and you want to start seeing website traffic coming through, SEO is one of the only ways that you can do that, and it's the only way you can really do it organically. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how that works, how SEO works, and what the fundamental pieces that align to SEO to make sure that you're getting as much as you can from your SEO efforts if you're doing them. So first of all, there's a couple of myths around SEO that you need to kind of get out of your head. There's lots of people that talk about backlinks and backlinking being the only way to grow your website and get decent traffic and all of this kind of good stuff. It's bullshit, frankly, it's absolute bollocks. SEO is a mixture of a wide range of things, not just backlinking. Backlinking is super important, don't get me wrong, but it is not the be all and end all. So if you've got an SEO company come to you and say, yeah, we'll do your SEO for you, we'll get you ranking, and their only strategy is a backlink strategy, walk away. It is not the best strategy out there, and it needs to kind of coincide with other strategies as well. Frankly, if you've got a technically shit website, the amount of backlinks that you have is going to be irrelevant. Your website's still going to be shit, and it's still going to be pretty hard for Google to rank it if it's not meeting the basic technical criteria. So what do we need to do with SEO then, and why is backlinking not the only strategy? So first off, we have something called your on-page SEO. Okay, so that's everything that happens on the actual pages themselves. So we're looking at things like content, making sure your H1s are in the right place. H1s in the right place, that doesn't make sense. Making sure you've got a H1 with the right keywords and all of that kind of good stuff in it. So this is very much about structure, and it's about the content on page being relative to what you're actually looking for the searcher to do. So a common mistake that people always make with your on-page SEO is just absolutely keyword stuffing. Now you cannot do that anymore. Back in the day, people used to kind of go on a white page, just shove as many of their keyword in as possible, as many times as they possibly can, turn it white so that you can't see it as a user, and then Google will go, oh, this page is clearly about this because they've got this keyword in there hundreds of times. That's keyword stuffing. You will get penalized by Google for doing that, so please don't do it. But what you do need to make sure is that your keyword is on page, and you need to make sure it is on page in certain areas. One of those being in your URL. So when you're kind of looking at your URL pathway, make sure that whatever your key service and keyword you're looking to rank for is within that. Then you need to make sure it's in your H1 as well. Make sure it's in the first paragraph, within the first sentence if possible, and then make sure that some of your H2 and H3s have also got those. If you don't know what those are, H1 is your main heading. Now, another common mistake on here is people always will look at their H1 and it might have been built by a web developer and you want it stylized in a certain way. So instead of just restylizing the H1, they'll turn it into a H2 or H3 or H4, something that's stylized better. But that is a huge mistake because your H1 is actually telling Google what your page is about. So you need to make sure that your H1 is your H1 and it is coded correctly. Same with all the other H2, H3, etc. You need to make sure it's structured correctly and then you're not just changing it based on the style. Secondly, you need to make sure that your page is well structured from a headings perspective. So don't just kind of go, right, this is what my blog's about and just chuck a load of content on there. You need to structure it out into subheadings, A, to make it easier to read, but B, also to make it easier for Google to crawl. So that's your kind of on-page stuff, and that is really quite important, probably equally so as backlinking. So that is kind of one of the strategies you should be focusing on, is having really good quality content that users will like and it works for Google. The next thing that you need to make sure that is top notch, and probably the first and most important thing actually, is the technical aspects of your website. So that's things like page speed, kind of paint loads, and lots of other technical aspects that need to be spot on so that Google can crawl your site properly, and that does include elements of structure as well. Now, all of this stuff you can potentially do yourself, but for the technical aspects, it is really better if you get an SEO technical specialist to do it, because there'll be some elements that you just won't be able to do yourself. And actually they are fundamental to making sure that you can rank on Google. So get your technical aspects up together. So if you're doing a site audit or someone comes to you with a site audit, if it doesn't contain technical fixes that are required, chances are they don't know what they're talking about. So that's number one. Second is making sure your content flows, and also that the structure flows on site as well. So when we're looking at your header, your menu, we want to make sure that everything in that menu is really well structured and easy to access from the front page for Google and from a UX, from a user experience perspective. So you want your kind of main services in there straight up front and center. And then under those services, you really need some cornerstone content as well that back up those services. And what that does is mean that you can try and rank for easier to rank keywords, and that will pass link equity back up to your main service pages, which means over time they will begin to rank higher in the search as well. And then the third piece is the backlinking. Now, backlinking is kind of a big piece of work that focuses on getting good quality backlinks to your site. So if you've got someone again that comes to you and says, oh, I can get 200 backlinks on your site in 3 days, do not do that. The chances are it's going to crash your site, because they'll go for a load of low quality backlink websites that will just look spammy, and Google will just think you're trying to spam. What you want is probably 5 to 10 really high quality links back to your site consistently over a period of time. Now that can be done through PR, it can be done through using good quality listings, so going onto listing sites and getting your stuff on there. It can be done through people picking up your content naturally. So if you've got really great quality content, you should pick up natural backlinks where people want to link to you because it's really useful for their users. It can be done through social media and lots of other ways. So that's kind of the third string to the bow of SEO. So to get everything singing along nicely and delivering for you, you have to have technical aspects up together. You have to have really good quality on-page content, and you have to have a backlink strategy. If an SEO company is coming to you and telling you that you only need one of those, no, untrue, bin them out. And some of this stuff you can do on your own as well. So if you want some more tips on how to do each of these specific areas on your own, I will bring Brad, our SEO specialist, into our next one, and we will discuss it in more detail.